From the City of Angels, you are listening to the James Salazar Media Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to read headlines from the world of futurism. So let me strike the music, and I'll meet you on the other side.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Say hello to my little friend.
No, I am the Father.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
And welcome to the James Salazar Media Podcast, where you get your weekly dose of pop culture, politics, and futurism. Today, we're going to talk about, and we're going to read as many headlines from the world of futurism as possible before my brain fries. So, hold on to your hats and glasses, son of a bitches. We're going to start reading some headlines. But first, a little bit of politics. As you know, I was supposed to comment about the presidential election second debate. It didn't happen. It started off with Donald Trump getting COVID. Joe Biden says, we're not going, if he's not over it, we're not going to meet up. Let's do a virtual one. And Donald Trump obviously saw that as a disadvantage on his part. They can definitely put mute on him, and I think he probably wouldn't interrupt as much the second time, but he would interrupt, and he would try to get his point across, regardless who liked it or not. And if you give someone the ability in a different room to mute you, that's a disadvantage on your part, especially if you're an aggressive debater like Donald Trump. And I wouldn't call the last one a debate, because you have to let the other guy talk to show people that your points are better. But if you drown him out and you talk over him, people won't know how, people won't find out if he does have cognitive decline. He surely does. If you look at him just 4 years ago debating, trying to become president of the United States with him and Hillary Clinton, he's way more sharper than he is now. And if the last 4 years, we can chart his downfall from the last 4 years, if it's the same downfall for the next 4 years, I mean, I don't think he'll be able to string any sentences along. I shouldn't talk. I barely can stream sentences, but I'm not running for office. So, they had town hall meetings that were competing against each other. Obviously, everybody watched Trump because Joe Biden's boring to watch. And sometimes boring doesn't get you, doesn't put your foot in your mouth. But they're definitely throwing softballs to Joe Biden that he didn't hit out of the park. Like I said, 4 years ago, he would have hit those softballs over the fence. But now he's barely getting them. He's hitting and missing. He's batting 200 with softballs. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is getting speedballs, hardballs to the face, and he's batting 200, 300. It's kind of hard to come out really good. I mean, he's no debater like Ben Shapiro, but Donald Trump don't take no shit, so therefore, he did say what he wanted to say. The interjection was pretty funny. So I couldn't, I've heard all what everybody's going to say before, so it's very hard for me to want to watch the whole thing. But the particular interaction when she asked him about, do you condemn white supremacy? And he says, yes, I did. I said it 20 times. But how come you don't ask Joe Biden about Antifa and Black Lives Matter and their violence in the street? And she says to him, looks like you're not trying to answer. After he answered, when she asked him that question, if he didn't say, I'm against white supremacy, and then led with Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and why don't you tell Joe? But he didn't lead with that. He led with, I'm against white supremacy. And she tried to paint the picture like he was justifying his position by pointing out Joe Biden's position. No, he stated his position and then pointed out Joe Biden's position, which sort of shows what Donald Trump has to go up against. Now, I understand that has no bearing whether he's truly racist or not. I personally don't think he is. I think he's too self-absorbed to be bothered with racism. But that's my opinion. I think the key to Donald Trump is his legacy. This is what I think. I think if you convince Donald Trump that he would be the greatest president if he followed leftist ideologies, he would do it. Because what he wants is to be known as the best president. And that's why he does all these things, gives money to black schools and gets black people out of jail who shouldn't be there anymore. He's leading the charge on that, but they're not going to give him any love for that. And he's doing it because the black caucus is smart enough to know that you can tell Trump to do something, he'll do it, and you can still badmouth him after. So that's interesting. So this is what's going on. We're about 2 weeks away from the election. All the polls say Donald Trump is going to lose, and pretty much he can't make up that ground. But they said that before, and they were wrong. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. What people are not taking into consideration is that the shame aspect. There's so many people who won't admit that they're going to vote for Donald Trump. You know, our society, especially in the media and in Hollywood, they shame people who are for Donald Trump. And people are not telling the truth. And they're going to vote for him when election time comes around. Also, Republicans are not raising as much money as Democrats, but they are getting more people to register to vote. So this is going to be very interesting. My personal opinion, I just want whoever's going to win by a landslide. I don't want nobody winning by the edge of their teeth, because it will further divide our country. I'll say this. I'd rather have Joe Biden win by a lot than for Donald Trump to win by a little. This is my opinion. So, and vice versa, I guess. All right, so my friends, let's get into some futurism. All right, first headline: computer scientist, AI can't flourish without a physical body. If we ever want to develop the kind of advanced, thoughtful AI shown in science fiction, it might need a human-like body. Computer scientist Mark Lee argues that a truly advanced AI system that can learn from and interact with its environment must have a robotic body as well. Otherwise, even the best AI couldn't develop the sense of self that gives us humans a subjective viewpoint and help us infer things about the world. Lee cites recent attempts to teach AI algorithm in a way that mirrors how infants learn about the world by slowly learning the rules through experimentation while taking in and interpreting their surroundings. This way, he argues, AI driving robots may someday become empathetic enough that we could develop a relationship with them. Okay. Maybe. Next headline. Sorry. Physicists, the entire universe might be a neural network. It's not every day that we come across a paper that attempts to redefine reality, but in a provocative reprint uploaded in ARXIV this summer, well, I think that's a website, a physicist professor at the University of Minnesota attempted to reframe reality in a particularly eye-opening way, suggesting that we all living inside a massive neural network that governs everything around us. In other words, he wrote in the paper, it is possible that the entire universe is the most, at its most fundamental level, is a neural network. So we are all living in a brain of something. And you're going to see a lot of this neural network reality, the world being a simulation, because people are trying to find why the world makes so much sense, why it has answers, and that we can form questions that can be answered, and we predict answers. It seems more like a good idea than some random convergency. And the religious will call this God, and the scientists are trying to get the theory of everything to answer that by crashing atoms into each other to see if they can create a universe. That's what they want. If man can create a universe, then there's no need for God, basically. This is what is going on. So, but they're on that search, and they have to answer the question. Just like the believers have to answer and have to prove there is a God, scientists have to answer why everything's ordered. Why is it not unordered? And what I'm trying to, what that's really saying is that how can this random universe produce something that is thought out and looks created, looks intelligently designed? And it's a big problem. And they're looking to find that answer outside of religious ideas. And that's what the Hadron Collider is for. That's what people saying we're in a simulation for. We're ultimately in a simulation of an alien being. That's what they want to get at. And we'll see we'll see where this takes us. You know? Because string theory, that says out of the infinity of worlds that are possible, we just happen to live in the one that's ordered. But there's many of them that are unordered. We only know about the world that we have. That's like a science version of the God of the gaps. First of all, you got to prove it that there's other worlds, and then you have a leap of faith that the reason why our world exists is out of the millions of infinity of random realities, we happen to be the one that's ordered. So, take it as you hear it. But we're coming closer to the answer, or we're more likely spending a lot of money on the answer. And let's see where it takes us. All right, let's get into Earth and energy. Let's see. Scientists built a fuel cell out of spinach. Nice. A team of scientists took some spinach you can buy at the grocery store and added a pinch of salt and turned it into the catalyst for a clean and efficient fuel cell. The proof of concept fuel cell is the latest development in a long history of scientists trying to exploit spinach high density of energy generating molecules for industrial use. I was like, exploit spinach? Sheesh. Everything's being exploited now. Typically, carbon-based catalysts fail to outperform platinum, but highly salted spinach leaves that were blended, freeze-dried, and heat-treated into layers of nanosheets were more efficient than platinum fuel cells, according to researchers. Okay. Good. So, it's time to grow some spinach. Start a spinach farm. Another headline. Japan plans to dump Fukushima's radioactive water into the sea. What the hell? The Japanese government confirmed today that it will eventually dump the radioactive water stored in its site of Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant into the sea. The Friday announcement came after years of debate over how to manage the containment of water accumulating at the site of the plant, which was destroyed by a 2011 tsunami and went into meltdown. Dumping will likely begin by 2022, which is around when the plant water tank could reach capacity and overflow on its own. So, I think this is their only recourse. So basically, it's going to do it whether they do it or not. The water that's being pumped in there is going to overflow, and they can't let the water not pump into there because the radiation will be exposed. So basically, what's happening here is that it's overflowing. So they're saying we're dumping water into this. We're dumping radioactive water into the sea. It's going to happen whether we do it or not. So that's uncool, but let me tell you something. Go back into the 1950s. When from the 1950s to the 1970s, we literally put 1,000 bombs, tested 1,000 nuclear bombs into the Pacific Ocean. Okay? Putting radioactive material into the Pacific Ocean, I mean, that ship has sailed. I mean, literally thousands, no, maybe not thousands, maybe about 300 detonations in the Pacific alone. I mean, if it was going to turn Los Angeles purple or bright green, it would have done it by now. And who knows what the lifespan of humans was. It was pretty small before, I mean, we came up with medicine, so I don't know. So maybe cancer has gone up in the Pacific. I don't have to look at those numbers, but the fact of the matter is they blew up a lot of shit in the Pacific Ocean testing nuclear bombs. and their capacity, especially during the Cold War. So, I mean, what is Fukushima? The water's going to overflow. It's really not going to do anything to the ocean, as opposed to it's going to do something to their own shoreline. But I have no problem being standard corrected. Standard corrected? I stand corrected. If someone comes with different information, I will stand corrected. Obviously. This may be the first lab-grown meat to actually hit the market. Shrimp paste. For years, there has been a crowded market of startups racing to bring the first lab-grown meat to the market. Think Alphen Farms, and the Bill Gates-funded Memphis Meats. Okay? But bringing a product to the supermarket shelves has remained elusive. To be fair, it continues to do so, but according to a new feature in the Los Angeles Times, Singaporean startup called Shock Meats may be poised to be the first company in the world to actually sell lab-grown meat, focusing its energy on shrimp. The industry has been plagued by human slavery and profound environmental concerns. Singapore is doing more of its own investing and is the most receptive from a regulatory angle to green lighting this to go to the market first. Cultured meat expert. It will likely be a restaurant in Singapore that will serve this up to consumers for the first time in history. Okay. Get ready for fake shrimp. A melting Antarctic could raise the sea levels more than expected. The rising global temperatures continue to melt the ice in Antarctica. Scientists predict that it will face serious problems in the coming decade, from rising sea levels and devastating storms to temperature rising even faster because there's less ice to reflect heat. Now it turns out all of those problems could be even worse, with scientists predicted, according to researchers published in the Journal of Climate Dynamics. Existing models tend to predict ice melting based on average conditions over time, but accounting for fluctuating extreme paints as far more dire picture. Climate models need to represent how chaotic weather patterns can be. Studying author and Penn State climate research Chris Forrest argues in a press release accounting for those fluctuations. Forrest's work shows that Antarctic ice could retreat 20 years sooner than expected. Factoring in the melting ice could raise the sea levels by an additional 2.7 to 4.3 inches on top of the 10.6 to 14.9 inches in similar models predicted by the year 2100. So 80 years from now, if we do nothing, instead of 14 inches, it's going to be, let's round it up to 20 inches. 20 inches, that's pretty much. That's, yeah. That could be a lot for some places. Of course. And here's the thing. and let me just speak freely here. You know, the Inconvenient Truth. There was like almost 20 predictions in there, and none of them came out even close to what he predicted in that movie that the water levels will be. So at this point, whatever scientists come up with, they have to undersell and overdeliver, okay? Because they're weakening their position every time they say, "Oh, this is by the next 5 years, everything is going to be underwater," when it's only not even an inch underwater, or not at all, and we're supposed to take your word. There's something that I teach a lot, and whatever you exaggerate, you weaken. So, right now, for climate scientists, you got to underpromise and overdeliver on your predictions. Because if you overpromise and underdeliver, we have not really changed anything. According to Inconvenient Truth, the inconvenient truth about the inconvenient truth is that we haven't got close to those predictions. So people need them to be accurate, and you should be accurate. If you say something's going to happen and it does, then you will be the authority. If you over-exaggerate and it doesn't come anywhere where you say it is coming in at, then people are not going to listen to you. And you can't have 80-year models. You got to make some predictions. I mean, you got to predict in the next 20 years, let's say you got to predict the sea levels have to raise by 5 inches. That seems like a doable marker. And then let's see what's going to happen in the next 5 years. Or something, I know I'm talking out of my ass, but they just said that if we don't change in the next 5 years or something like that, it'll be irreversible. This is a very big ship called the United States, called Western civilization, and everybody who's in the industrial age. We can't turn that ship in 5 years. So what you're saying is that we have sealed our fate. Well, you sealed our fate in the fact that the earth will be a little bit hotter. People who have homes on the shoreline will be underwater, and they're going to have to move in, and that'll be our new reality. So, let's see what happens. So, SpaceX gives early Starlink internet to town destroyed by wildfires. Washington State emergency responders were able to get early access to SpaceX Starlink satellite broadband service, bringing much-needed internet service to a region affected by wildfires. It is as simple as plugging into a small terminal, which then connects to one of the hundreds of small satellites in low Earth orbit. That's cool. I wonder if we're going to have to pay for this service. I mean, if it's better. I just dumped Spectrum to get on Frontier because it's $50 cheaper for 1 year at least. Maybe this Starlink might be the answer. A cheaper, more easier. I mean, it's in the sky. You don't need. I mean, what's the selling point for Spectrum and all these other companies? They're laying down cable. These old way of doing things. So maybe getting it from space might be much better. But I used to get HughesNet at one time. Satellite internet, it was okay. It worked okay. But whenever you had clouds, it didn't work okay. It sucked. So let's see if Elon Musk can troubleshoot that problem. Okay, that one's too long. Let's see. Elon Musk, I refuse to get COVID vaccine. In the New York Times interview, the tech journalist Kara Swisher, Tesla CEO Elon Musk, revealed that he is not planning to get the COVID vaccine once it becomes available. You won't get a vaccine? Why is that? I'm not a risk for COVID, nor are my kids. Okay. He answered. Musk has had a complicated track record when it comes to the ongoing pandemic. And as he himself admitted to the journalist, it is a hot button issue where rationality takes a back seat. But it's undeniably been a weird turn for the scientifically minded entrepreneur who spreads misleading information about the virus and infamously tweeted earlier March that he predicted there would be close to 0 new cases by the end of April. He also opined that coronavirus pandemic is dumb. So, I guess we know what he feels about that. In more Elon Musk news, Elon Musk doesn't seem to be any life in this solar system. Doesn't seem to be any life in this solar system. Billionaire and SpaceX CEO wrote in a recent tweet responding to fans' mail from Australia's 13-year-old. Presumably, he meant life outside of Earth, where it exists in fairly well established, where its existence is well established. Presumably, he meant life outside Earth, where its existence is fairly well established. But he conceded there might be a chance that it is hiding elsewhere in our system, even if it has a little resemblance, the type we're accustomed to. Okay, maybe under the ice of Europa and bacteria. Okay, on Mars. So basically, just not life like we know it, animals and humans, but maybe bacteria. So we'll see what happens there. Scientists finally built a room temperature conductor. For the first time, a team of scientists say they built a superconducting material, one that permits the total unimpeded flow of electricity that works at room temperature. It's been let's see. It says an ultra-condensed material was able to act as a superconductor at 58 degrees Fahrenheit, the first to work above freezing temperatures, hinting at the world with a lossless energy grid, high-speed levitating trains, and quantum computing that are actually useful. Let's see. Bold vision. Conductor is currently too small to be useful, but if it works at a larger scale under less pressure, it would give us the tools to radically reimagine our energy and technology infrastructures to be cleaner, more efficient, and more powerful. Okay, well, let's get on that. Let's get on doing it at 58 degrees. Oh, yeah. Physicists just transported light itself. Physicists just stored and transported light itself. Okay. A team of German physicists managed to pack up light and unpack it 1.2 millimeters away without altering it in the process. It's simple concept, but extremely difficult to actually pull off. To do it, the team from Johannesburg University had to cool down rhodium 87 atoms to almost absolutely zero. We store the light by putting it in a suitcase, so to speak, only that in our case, the suitcase was made out of clouds of cold atoms. We moved this suitcase over a short distance and then took the light out again. That's some crazy shit, people. The experiment could usher in a new era of quantum computing, because in some system, data storage required capturing and manipulating of quantum information carried by light. This is a very interesting, not only for physicists in general, but also for quantum communication, because light is not very easily to capture, and if you want to transport it elsewhere, it in a controlled manner, it usually ends up being lost, he added. The feat builds on previous research in which the same team managed to transport coal atoms along the optical conveyor belt produced by two laser beams. The team is hoping their research could one day lead to light-based memory storage. I think this is the beginning of the transporter in Star Trek. If we can send shit, hey man, don't be someone trying to hack into my computer. No, let me tell you something. Yeah, well, I was saying transport technology. I mean, if we can get that light information, hold information in light, if we can do that, and then transport that light to a different place, then you have a transporter. Whether we can deconstruct the human body into a light memory, that's a whole different technology. But, yeah, whatever you can break down into light information, then you could send it anywhere it needs to be. So that's cool. Like that one. Let's see what we have here. Here we go. Columbia professor. There's 50% chance that we're living in a simulation. Didn't I tell you we're going to talk about this? Didn't I tell you they're going to be doing this? In a influential 2003 paper, it was a long time ago, University Oxford philosopher Nick Bostrom laid out a possibility that our reality is in a computer simulation dreamt up by a highly advanced civilization. In this paper, he argued that at least one of the three propositions must be true. Civilizations usually go extinct before developing the capacity of creating reality simulations. I mean, we do this with on video games already, so I don't know what he's talking about. Advanced civilizations usually have no interest in creating reality simulations. How would you know that? We're almost certainly living inside a computer simulation. Okay. Let me read this again. Civilizations usually go extinct before developing the capacity for creating reality simulations. Advanced civilizations usually have no interest in creating reality simulations. We are almost certainly living in a computer simulation. Oh, never mind. I thought that he was saying I shouldn't. I thought he was making three statements that be true. So one of these is true. One of these is true. Yeah, maybe they've been extinct. Some people have no advanced civilizations, just never thought of doing that, never bothering it. And we're almost certainly that we're living inside a computer simulation. Okay, so the first two say no, and the last one says yes. Until the simulator, until the person, and here's the thing: why would they think we're in a simulation? Once again, because the answers come too freely. Everything makes sense. We live in a universe of numbers and laws. This universe seems like a good idea as opposed to some random convergency, like I said before. So they're trying to find an answer to this, because the religious answer does not satisfy them. They think it's a cop-out. But a being that could create a simulation and have a 100% control over it, I mean, isn't that the definition of a god? So, if we're living in a simulation, could be aliens or could be God. We have about just the same amount of evidence, and this is their little card in their pocket to pull out. You know, you believe in God, but I'll believe in aliens. So basically, aliens that control our universe, not the aliens that screw farmers and takes them and have sexual encounters with them. Not those aliens. The aliens that wrote the program of our universe. They would have to be highly advanced. Or, I mean, God by a different name. Oh my God, that hurt my ears. SpaceX is building a military rocket to ship weapons anywhere in the world. SpaceX and the Pentagon just signed a contract to jointly develop a new rocket that will launch into space and deliver up to 80 tons of cargo and weaponry anywhere in the world in just 1 hour. Tests on the rocket are expected to begin as early as next year. It's expected to shuttle weapons around the world 15 times faster than existing aircraft, like the U.S. C-17 Global Master. Think about moving the equivalent of a C-17 payload anywhere on the globe in less than an hour. This is the equivalent of military checkmate. If we can develop this technology, I don't know how much. Why would anybody fuck with this at all? I mean, can you imagine? Like Benghazi, right? Within 1 hour, they fucking drop a tank. in the middle of the embassy. A couple of Chinooks. I mean, you know, that's pretty impressive what that's going to do. Okay, so we're going to run into some COVID. Dr. Fauci says, it's too dangerous to see my kids on this Thanksgiving. All right. Don't see your kids. What do you want me to do about that? Woman dies after catching COVID-19 the second time. That's disconcerting. Here's the thing. The 87-year-old woman initially recovered from COVID after spending a few days in a hospital. 2 months later, she tested positive again, and her condition rapidly deteriorated before she ultimately died. That makes her the first confirmed death of a patient who caught COVID-19 2 separate times, and one of just a few confirmed reinfection overall. Okay, that sucks, but she was 89 years old. We know that she probably should have died the first time, and it was a miracle that she didn't. She catching it the second time. That's bad luck for sure, but might have been a way she was predicted to probably die the first time. She definitely going to die the second time, and she did, which is sad, but hopefully we can learn a lot from this sad ending. But I hope that she lived a great life, and at 89 years old, almost 90, hopefully her death's not in vain. We can learn from it. Where do we go? What does it say? Doctors say many COVID survivors have memory loss and brain fog. According to a grim news story in New York Times, there's a growing body of evidence that COVID adversely affects the memory and concentration of some patients. Cognitive defects that society could potentially be grappling with for years after the pandemic is over. That sucks. I mean, it's terrible. Let's do another one. Doctors find coronavirus in brains of cadavers. Post-mortem analyst of the bodies of people who died of COVID-19 reveals something alarming. About half shown signs of the coronavirus in their brains. The actual impact of the neural infection seemed mild at worst, according to researchers published in the Lancet Neurology. But the revelation that the coronavirus can reach patients' central nervous system could help doctors make sense of the neurological conditions some COVID-19 patients are experiencing, perhaps help them better treat the disease. So this goes right to the idea that people are getting brain fog and losing their memory. Because they found it inside the brain of COVID. It is affecting the brain. So it's good to know. Sad to hear. It says humans. Oh, hold on. Humans are evolving a new artery. A team of scientists identified a new way that humans are continuing to evolve. Before babies are born, the medium artery running down the forearm supply their hands with blood. But shortly after birth, most people medium artery fades away after two other take its place. Now, researchers published last month that the Journal of Anatomy showed that the percentage of people who retain their medium artery has been growing since the 18th century. Evidence that our species is continued to develop new biological traits. Awesome. Yeah, if it's better for us, that's cool. New injection can edit specific parts of the brain. A team of scientists, there's always a team of scientists, have developed a new gene editing tool that for the first time can target specific cells and organs that doctors want edited, including specific areas of the brain. While testing on lab mice, gene editing tool that could specifically target organs like the liver, alter cells in the immune system, and cross the blood-brain barrier that protects the brain in order to edit specific brain cells as well, according to researchers. And because the tool is directly injected into the bloodstream, it could lead to a straightforward way to perform genetic treatments should end up working on people as well. We create a method around tailoring and delivering package for a wide range of potential therapeutics, including gene editing. Depending on the type of cell you want to edit, there is a better equipping an immune system cell to fight certain cancers or brain cells to treat neurological conditions. Slightly modified delivering package, gluing different proteins into surfaces they found, allowing gene editing enzymes to stick to specific cells typed in a way past gene editing tech wasn't able to do. Okay, so they're getting deeper into editing what the human is. Let's see this. Scientists claim that to invent a hydrogel that heals nerve damage. Nerve damage? A team of doctors and engineers have developed a new hydrogel that can New hydrogel that they say might be able to repair nerve damage more quickly and more reliably than other methods. The hydrogel is essentially a porous and water-saturated material that can stretch and bend and, most importantly, propagate neural signals. In animal trials, the team of researchers found that the hydrogel restored lost bodily functions that help animals heal faster. Great. Let's put this stuff on the market. It'll put vaporu away. Vaporu. That's how Mexicans say vapor rub. Vaporu. Vaporu. This is the hydrogel is going to replace vaporu. Okay? Oh, hold on. Yeah, okay, let's get on some off-road. Here we go. Fusion drive. What the heck? You stop that. Fusion drive spacecraft express solar system travel if we figured it out. Fusion drive spacecraft express solar system travel if we figure it out. A team of scientists is furiously working on a spacecraft thrusters that they say could reach Saturn's moon Titan in less than half the time it took the satellite Cassian. There's one catch. They're talking about fusion drive. And thus far, scientists have totally unable to harness the power of nuclear fusion in any sort of practical way. But if it somehow comes to fruition, the fusion drive could rapidly enhance the way we explore our cosmos. Light travel, researchers which hold true to the theoretical nature currently existed in unpublished reprint, was conducted by aerospace engineers using data from the experimental drive from the Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory. The team found that the fusion drive powered spacecraft could present the best of both worlds. It could have the energy efficiency of an electric engine with the powerful thrust of a fuel-powered one. And because the fusion drive would also be able to power spacecraft through its mission, it wouldn't need to carry separate generators. Well, let's get to, they're working hard, so we'll see what happens. We don't need to go fast into the, we don't need to, people are just texting me right now. I should have turned that off. What do you call it? People, we don't need to go through the solar system faster than other technologies would fail to keep up with. If we're going fast through the solar system, that means a lot of shit's going to hit your ship faster. And this keep going that direction, but let's not run. Let's walk. Right? Let's get there safely. The moon is getting cell service. NASA wants any human present on the moon to have a great cell signal. So, investing in lunar G4 network. Son of a bitch. I'm gonna slap somebody. The space agency gave Nokia Bell Labs $14 million in grant money to build out a moon telecom infrastructure, with a goal of having network up and running by 2030. The goal is to get a network in place that could help sort of outpost on the moon, manage life off world. What did I just read? Hey, it gets too high. I can't let it go all the way. This hurts my ears. Let's see. Son of a bitches. Tell your friends to stop texting. NASA wants a moon camera to film landing spacecrafts from the lunar surface. Okay. Yeah, who wouldn't? We had it on Apollo. We have the video of them stepping out on, one leap for man, one giant leap for mankind. We had a camera there. How's this news? This is stupid. I don't want any stupid news right now. Elon Musk wants to send the first Starship to Mars in 2024. So, like 4 years? Elon Musk, SpaceX, has some ambitious plans to get cargo eventually passengers to the moon using Mars' gigantic 165-foot Starship rocket. And the trip to Mars might happen sooner than you might think. Speaking with Mars Society founder Robert Zubrin at the non-profit international convention last week, Musk claims that we have a fighting chance to making the second Mars transfer window. Sorry, let me read that again. Musk claims we have a fighting chance of making the second Mars transfer window. Transfer window, you might ask. You know how the shortest distance somewhere is a straight line? Every 26 months, Mars and Earth orbit align in a way that makes it more convenient to make the trip. 3 countries, U.S., China, and United Arab Emirates, all took advantage of the previous transfer window in the summer, sending landers, rovers, and orbiters to the red planet. The second window Musk is referring to will occur sometime in 2024, with the first being 2022. SpaceX is making big strides in developing a Starship. Over the summer, the space company has successfully flown Earth's early prototypes to the heights of 150 meters, that's 500 feet, to test flight and altitude of 12 miles in scheduled within the coming weeks if early tests of its SN8 prototype are any indicators. Okay, so we're sending something out on the 22nd. Not next year, but the year after that, we'll be sending something to Mars. God damn it! People just I don't know, turn the shit off. Let's do it. Most likely, we're going to send equipment, robots, habitats to Mars before we send any humans. So that's the trip to Mars in 2024 will probably be a lot of stuff to have already there for the astronauts who are going to live on Mars for a while. Like they're going to send water, they're going to send like dirt, and they're going to send habitats and probably some robots, and try to build some of those habitats so their exposure to the Mars atmosphere is small, that they can build these things really quickly and be out of harm's way. Yeah. Okay, we're going to do some rapid reading because I don't want the next time we do this, we're talking about old shit. So, experts, this is actual, this is what actual space battle would be like. Interesting. NASA awards SpaceX $53 million for orbiting Starship refueling test. So they're going to do a refueling test. The ESA is wavering flux fiber into satellites so they incinerate better. Okay. Elon Musk shows off his underside of the gigantic new Starship prototype. Chinese named 18 more crewmen for its upcoming space station. Space debris trackers warn an explosion in orbit. Oh, that's nice. That doesn't sound good at all. Headless box stacking robot ready to be enslaved for $250,000. Nice. 200. You have some guy constantly stacking stuff. Firefighters are using drones to drop fireballs. That seems interesting. Engineer creates a plasma-based lightsaber that can cut metal. Not bad. Google parent company is building farming robots. Scientists want to use moths to blanket the Earth with tiny sensors. Say it isn't so. This swimming squid robot looks absolutely amazing. Military develops a drone with a double-barrel shotgun. Yeah. America. Watch a U.S. fighter jet smash into the ground with a huge fireball. I don't want. That's not so good. U.S. Oh, hold on. And last but not least, U.S. military develops AR goggles for dogs. Spending time in space makes your heart age faster. I think that has to do with gravity. And last but not least, Trump implies that the U.S. military could defeat aliens if they showed up. America. Donald Trump is not entirely sure why the Pentagon has an ultra-secretive UFO program. Trump was asked why the Department of Defense had set up a UFO task force. So, Mr. President, are there UFOs? Well, I'm going to have to check that on that. I'm going to have to check on that, Trump said. I mean, I've heard that. I heard that 2 days ago. So I'll check on that. I'll take a good, strong look at that. If then, instead of stopping there, Trump went on to boast about the U.S. military and an apparent threat of an extraterrestrial who might be out there, I will tell you this. We have now created a military like of which we have never had before. He said, promptly, Russia, China, they're all envious of what we have. All built in the USA. What are we to make of this complete non sequitur? Trump's menacing alien military might? Or is he threatening other nations that he could possibly be behind the sightings of the unidentified aerial phenomenon? Okay, this person's getting into conspiracy theories himself. But that's pretty funny shit. We'll beat up aliens. Probably not. If there's some alien species can make it to Earth with any amount of success, they're highly more advanced than we are. Okay, so. All right, guys. All right. Hope you like my new stuff. You might be annoyed by it. No, not that one. So stop it. Yeah, shoot. So, that was an hour of headlines. So, hope you like that. Sorry for missing a week. I'll probably come back with some politics and try to give an even amount. No, I'm actually going to talk about some TV shows that are coming up and that I've been watching, and I'll give you my reviews on those and tell you how many potatoes they are. So, my friends, you can follow me if you thought anything was interesting. If you want to add to anything or complain about something, just put it in email form at jamessalazarmedia@gmail.com. You can also follow me on any of the social media platforms, the major ones, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest. You can follow me there. Just type in James Salazar Media. I should come up. Please leave a review of the podcast and subscribe to the podcast. I would greatly appreciate it. So, my friends, when the storm of life come against you and you find yourself on your knees, stand tall. Take a look at that storm and say what my sensei Jack Burton always says. Give me your best shot. Strike the music.